Welcome back, everybody, to Sky Blue Podcast. This is Aaron here, the estimator here at Sky Blue Restoration. I'm with today Tom from A Fox Environmental. Tom, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Tom with Dave Fox Environmental.
Right on, right on. So, Tom, what is it you do exactly?
I do all kinds of indoor air quality consulting.
Okay,
Mold, water damage, bacteria, lead, water testing, all
okay.
ki- everything to do with the indoor air quality.
All right. How long have you been in the business for, Tom?
This career, 24 years.
24 years of
I think
testing,
it's
huh?
more than that, right, Tom?
No,
So I
it's
started doing carpet cleaning like 2 3 years ago. And then you 2 3 days, 2 3 years after.
yeah, that was probably in 2002 when we
So I've
started.
been on the industry almost 30 years. Well,
Yeah, well,
started
you
with
were
cars.
you were in carpet cleaning. I was
Yeah, I
in.
was in the carpet.
Yeah, and we met first time down in Laguna Beach.
No, we don't meet on Laguna.
Oh yeah, we met
You showed me business card through the window.
yeah, we met driving down the road on. I think it was Marguerite.
Marguerite, yeah, and Marguerite and Geronimo, I think.
Yeah,
You guys known each other for quite some time, huh?
a couple days,
Couple
just a
days,
minute, just a minute.
So, Tom, touch on the services a little bit. You say you do mold testing. What exactly do you test?
We test drywall. We test wood framing. We test anything that could potentially grow mold.
And how are you testing? What are you testing for?
We use air sampling for anybody that has an indoor air quality problem, and we also do swab testing.
Okay. Okay. Now I know sometimes it's pretty obvious when somebody has some damages in their home. You can see, thick mold growing on materials. But what happens in the case where people suspect there's mold inside their home, but they really don't see anything?
We do a full evaluation in a home. We inspect the exterior of the building. A lot of times, water intrusion gets in through there, and then we go inside and we do some, moisture testing, infrared thermal imaging, um, suspect conditions. We possibly pop a baseboard depending on what we see
Okay.
from the outside, inside, whether it be uh, shower leaking in the wall, something you can't see, and gets involved once you get started.
Okay. And is there anything you can kind of give tips to homeowners if, visually stuff they might not notice, but kind of give signs of water damage or, kind of signs of maybe possible mold growth. They just, for the average person who doesn't know.
And you look for anything that swells up. If you have baseboards, your floors, uh, sides of your showers,
Okay.
a toilet overflow.
Okay. Yeah.
That'll do it.
One thing I normally see sometimes in the water industry is we might see some bubbling above the baseboards,
Yeah, if the
little.
baseboard separates, if your paint starts to peel and bubble.
Okay. 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 And when you guys go and do these tests, what is it exactly you're looking for?
Any kind of bioorganic growth.
Okay.
It's
And what
considered bioorganic growth before we do any testing to
Okay.
confirm what it is.
And that could be different types of molds, bacterias. What is
Well,
that?
there's all kinds of mold, so many strains of mold. Specific ones we look for Stachybotrys,
Okay.
Aspergillus penicillium, Chitomium, high counts of Cladosporium,
Okay.
and we could list those and go on for at least an hour.
Well, that's
Shall
what
I
we need.
continue?
Well, one thing I want to touch on right there is you said penicillium. That word sounds familiar. Where have I heard that before?
Well, when you go to the doctor, you get your penicillin
How do we?
if you have one of those conditions.
So the medicine penicillin, it comes from a mold.
Yeah, they grow that stuff there.
They grow it. Okay, all right. And you said another
But
one. You said another name that I think people kind of read about often and get a little scared of.
Stachybotrys.
Stachybotrys, the black killer mold, right? Is that what
Well,
everybody
we like to
everybody's
call it
concerned?
potentially toxic.
Okay.
We don't like to scare everybody to death.
And what's the difference between that one versus all the other ones?
Well, that one's been around for a longer period of time. It's actually growing as sporulates from one spore to the next.
Okay.
We might start off with cladosporium, and then it sporulates into Aspergillus penicillium, and then the longer it has a food base, it grows a little bit longer.
Okay. And what are the health concerns about these things?
Oh well, everybody reacts differently to mold. You could have itchy, watery eyes, sniffles, coughing. It just depends what you're allergic to.
Okay, so
You
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 just
could be sitting on top of it. You could be bending down and smelling it, and you could lose your breath.
oh, wow.
You'd have to
Okay.
go out and find an inhaler, get your stuff back.
Okay. Now, um, what? How can I phrase this? So there's different types of molds. Is there different types of reactions to the different types of molds? How do you
Uh,
differentiate the
I
types? Or
don't. I
you don't?
don't.
Okay.
Do the sampling, give you laboratory results and a report, and you take it to your doctor to let him deal with that. I'm not a medical professional.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Well, let me ask you this then. What kind of qualifies you to be able to do this work?
Uh, Experience plus certifications.
And what type of certification we talk about?
I'm a certified indoor environmentalist. I'm
Okay.
a certified with it mold remedia no certified microbial consultant
Okay.
and a certified infrared thermal imager.
Okay. All right. So typically, you get called out to somebody's house. They might suspect there's some mold in there. Start to finish, what does your process look like?
Full investigation, testing, writing a report, making recommendations, writing a protocol on what needs to be removed, replaced, whatever it takes to get rid of all the mold.
Okay. And as far as remediator, some service we provide here at Sky Blue, I've seen reports before. Yeah, we
Yeah.
provide those services. I've seen reports before, but for like a homeowner who gets a report, it's probably roughly, I'd say, what, 20 to 30-page report, possibly even more, depending on the size of the
Yeah,
job.
depending on the size of the
Depending on the
job.
size of the job, and they have no clue what's in it. What are the main key factors they should be looking for in there?
Well, understanding the importance of the lab results,
Okay, the lab results.
and then following the protocol. When I give a report, I identify all conditions that I see,
Okay.
whether it be crack in the wall, bubbled baseboard, separated baseboard, water damage on the floor. Everything is photo documented and put into the report.
Got it. Got it. And I know as far as remediator standpoint, we follow your report. In your report, you have a section called recommendations, like you said,
Mhm.
kind of gives us a scope of work outlined for we could start
Yeah.
with. Okay, say we get knee deep in the project, we're ripping open walls, and what should we do as remediators if we find additional work?
Call me.
Call you. Okay. And what would
Clearly
happen at that
states
point?
in the report
Okay.
to call me so we can document it and then move forward with the additional work.
Okay. So one thing you keep getting back to is just documentation. It's very key to document everything that's going on in the home because a lot of times we're working for insurance companies, I'm assuming, and obviously you have to document what we're doing for us to get paid, for you to kind of get paid, and everything to be all right.
You work for the insurance companies. I don't.
All right. So again, touching on just the mold factor of everything. So you come in here, you do testing before any of the work happens. Remediators, we come in and we get the work done. Then what takes place after?
We do a post verification inspection and testing.
Okay, and what does that include?
But that includes air testing and a swab sample. Depending if it's a one containment area, we take one swab sample on the framing to make sure you guys cleaned it properly.
Okay.
And the air sampling, we take inside the containment as well as two outside samples to compare because there's no the industry standard is inside versus the outside.
Okay, and what are you looking for versus the inside and the outside? Can you kind of explain what happens, what you're looking for there?
Well, we compare the outside counts
Mhm.
of Aspergillus, uh, Cladosporium, Basidiospores. If they're higher on the outside than inside the containment, then we pass. The containment should have a whole lot less, practically nothing inside the containment when we're done, when you guys are done.
Understood. Understood.
And
Now,
then I always take a swab sample on the exposed framing to make sure that the cleaning process was done correctly.
okay. Now, I've always kind of had this question come up, and it's hard for me to kind of explain because I'm not the hygienist. Obviously, that's your job. My job is just to clean up what you tell me to, obviously, right? People always ask, is the mold gone? Is it completely gone? How
Well,
should I respond to that?
the mold is gone in this area, but if there's unseen parts of the building that were impacted with water that you don't know about, that I don't know about, then
Got it. Got it. Let me rephrase that question a little bit because I think I understand what you're saying. There might be in our contained area we pass, but there might be other areas within the
areas.
home that have mold. I'm referring back to my contained area. People say, "Is the mold completely gone?" Um, I kind of know the answer. I just wanted to hear your explanation for it. And what I always tell people is, there's always levels of mold, and that's what you kind of, I believe, you just said about the outside versus the inside.
Outside
So
versus
can you explain that a little bit? And what could we say as remediators to the homeowners who are obviously concerned? They have children. Of course, everybody has asthma when you're doing these things. To tell them, hey, you're not 100% mold free, but what it is you're better than the outside air conditions. I mean, is there a better way I
in
can explain that?
in the home. You're much better once your containment is finished. You take down the containment, the home becomes normal again. Goes back to preconditions.
Okay.
And the outside, you could be breathing a whole lot more as the garbage truck passes by, spewing aspergillus and all kinds of mold throughout the air.
Got it.
You have your gardeners, coming through with the landscaping, blowing all kinds of stuff. They blow your soil, they blow your trees, they blow everything up in the air. And so you're breathing all of these contaminants. So you're better off staying in the house.
Okay. Okay. Now I know kind of what we talked about so far is a lot for the homeowner's sake, but as far as remediators, what should we be doing, or what can you recommend to say we're not working for insurance, we're working with the homeowner directly, and they might be on a limited budget, right? And they're trying to skip testing, they're trying to not do stuff completely the right way. What do you recommend to us to cover ourselves, our liability of it, to try to not get sued later, right?
Yeah, but you would get a release of liability. Whatever you don't do, whatever in the protocol and you don't accomplish, you should get a release of liability. That
Release liability form or something
so
along those
they
lines.
said, we don't want to do testing. But when it comes time for them to sell their property, what do they have to do? They have to disclose. What did we do to get rid of the mold? What didn't we do to get rid of the mold? Do you have documentation? Do you have, anything? Because the new homeowner is going to come in and say, well, maybe I don't want to buy this house because we don't know what went on here.
That's a good point you kind of brought up, and I kind of just want to ask. I'm not too familiar in this, but nowadays, when people are buying and selling homes, is testing for molds a lot more common now than in the past?
Most definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
They do, a lot of, higher end properties do their due diligence. They do their sewer inspections. They do property inspections. They do a mold inspection. They do roof inspection. They do, everything separately. They just
Separately.
don't leave it to one person to say
Okay.
the property is in perfect health.
And do you think it's just more on the high end, or are you kind of seeing it kind of the whole industry, or
Well,
kind of everybody going
it
that direction?
it just depends. Sometimes the real estate uh, drives clients not to do certain things because they don't want to say anything bad about the realtors, but hell, they want to sell the house.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. All right. So I know a lot of we're talking about mold and stuff, but another thing you touched on is bacterias.
Yeah.
What is concern for the bacteria in people's homes, and walking into restaurants, walking into businesses that bacteria you can't see, just like some mold spores, right?
Yeah.
What is concern for that?
It's let's see. You don't want to be eating poop,
I don't think nobody wants to eat food.
So we do some bacteria testing in certain situations, toilet overflow, if your feces comes back out of the toilet and then spreads throughout your home, depending on the size of the loss, the
Okay.
water running. Excuse me. And it depends on the type of loss.
Okay.
But anything that comes back out of the sewer is category 3. Means it's sewage.
What is a category 3?
It's beyond the waistline.
Beyond the waistline,
Yeah.
that little curvy P
Yeah.
trap thing down there?
Mhm.
Anything beyond that, huh?
Meaning a toilet overflows, that's not a country.
It depends if you got poop in it,
Okay.
because once that water hits other items in the home, you have, who knows how many
But
people.
maybe the first water come out from the toilet is more contaminated than the rest of the water.
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah,
Maybe like combination of cat 3 and cat 2.
yeah,
Is that right? I hear about that on the training. That's what I'm asking.
yeah. Well, they have, cat 1, cat 2, but if you have carpet on the floor and, how many people walk through your home?
Oh, you're talking about like cross contamination.
Cross-contamination. Yeah,
Yeah.
do you have a dog? Dog, dog lays here, dog,
I didn't think about that, but you're right. Yeah.
yeah.
They were describing like toilet overflow have to consider like
Yeah, if it goes
cat
on the
3 and
tile.
cat 2. But with the cross contamination, probably everything has to be cat 3, right?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
just you start out
Yeah.
with the cat and then you finish up. If you have a flood from the outside and it goes inside the house, what kind of chemicals do we have out there? What kind of fertilizer? What kind of uh, trash coming down the street? Running into your house.
Yeah.
That's all cat 3.
Okay.
And once you got cat 3, everything on touches, you got to go.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned getting back to the whole kind of toilets and stuff. Obviously, you're a hygienist, we're remediators. We deal a lot more with the insurance companies than yourself, probably. One thing I kind of run into a lot, and maybe you could have a little bit of advice on this for me, is insurance companies always want to say, "Hey, even though it came from the toilet, it's just a little bit of urine, a little bit of toilet paper, soft stoppage." Would you still consider that a cat 3, or is that more of a cat 2? What would you
Yeah,
think?
thank you. It would probably start with cat 2.
You would start with cat 2.
And then test it. Find out what
Test.
you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's never to be on the safe side. Best to start with the cat 3 at that point because technically it's coming from beyond the P trap, or
Well, you can categorize it as a cat 2 in the beginning, but once you do the testing, then you can confirm exactly what's going on.
got it. Okay. All right. So with the bacteria testing, is it similar? Do you test it similar ways like the mold? Do you do air samples for it? How do you test for the bacteria?
Bacteria we test with a swab.
Just with swabs?
Yeah, swab. You swab the area. You take it to the lab under chain of custody,
Okay.
and then you wait 48 hours for them to culture it. Well, not culture it, but just let it the feces and stuff grow.
Okay.
They put it on a slide and then they run it through.
So is that like a typical timeline to get reports back? It's about 48 hours
48 hours for bacteria.
for bacteria.
Mold is 24 hours or 3 hours, depending if somebody wants to pay.
Like
It
it's
gets
fast.
expenses at 3 hours.
Got it. Okay. And what's the difference? How could they give you results in 24 hours and 3? What do they do in the process? What's different?
Well, they take you into the front of the line.
Oh. All right,
You go to the front of the line.
little speed pass, huh? Little speed pass. All right.
And we have some clients that do they want results right away. I've had clients say, I want the results before you get to the lab. And, sometimes it's just impossible.
Okay. And another thing you and George were kind of talking about, I know George is kind of behind the camera right now, but you guys were talking about cross-contamination. I know we recently just did a job together there in Newport Coast where they came down, huge puddle of nasty water, let's just say.
Yeah, that was definitely a cat 3.
That was definitely a cat 3. Now, homeowners wake up to this, they're shocked. They have valuables, they have goods that's sitting in this water. Their mind's not working right. They're thinking, hey, I got to save my stuff right away. In reality, what they did is they took all their nasty stuff, took it from the downstairs garage up 2 levels, and placed it in their closet. In reality, what did they just do right there?
Cross-contaminated.
Cross contaminated. Okay. Now, in that
And now
situation,
we tested
in that,
when we confirmed that.
oh, yes, yeah, yeah, I know we did. Just for the viewers, just so in a situation like that, it's good to understand as far as the remediators and the hygienists to ask questions because we might not have known they did that,
Right.
right? They could have done that on their own where we didn't
Yeah.
see them do it.
Yeah, the more information you get when you hit the project, the better off you are.
Uh-huh.
People kind of forget what they did. You got to just keep drawing information out of them.
Yep. And as far as remediators, if I was to go to the insurance company and say, hey, they just walked up 2 flights of carpet stairs, they just walked in
Yeah.
their master bedroom, said
With
all
their,
this stuff.
with their sneakers coming out of us.
Yeah, with their shoes, the materials dripping water. Now, if I just go without doing the testing and tell the insurance company, hey, I got to replace all this stuff now because they did this, the insurance company's going to laugh at me. They're going to say I'm crazy, right? But with your testing you do, it backs up everything, right? And
Yeah.
kind of relieves me of my opinion, so to say, and it backs
Right.
it up with your certified opinion, I should
Right.
say, right? So
Yeah, it's just what you call it, just an opinion.
it's just
There's an opinion on me as well until I test.
until you test.
That's why when we say bioorganic growth, I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you what kind of mold it is looking at that. That's why we take it to the lab
Okay.
and let them tell me. They got the mycologist sitting all day long in a room reading results.
Okay. So you're a hygienist, but you keep referring to labs. What is the labs portion in all this?
So I'm not a hygienist.
Okay.
I'm a certified indoor environmentalist.
Environmentalist. Okay.
Okay. The hygienist, you need another 4 years of school.
Well, what's the difference between the two?
I'm just certified
Okay.
to do this kind of work. I've went for training. I've had experience. I've had past experiences working in my previous career, and led me to this position where we are today.
Okay. And so the people at the lab, they're probably more of the hygienists, I'm assuming, right?
Some of them are hygienists. Some of them are just the mycologists that just read results.
Okay.
They have specific jobs. One might, they also have asbestos. So one part of the lab reads asbestos. One part of the lab reads mold. Another part of the lab reads, all kinds. They do all kinds of testing in the lab. It's not just, mold and asbestos and lead.
Okay.
So they have different departments.
And do you work with different labs? Do you usually just work with the same one? You got your favorite, so to say?
I've been working with the same lab for about, probably about 20 years.
Okay. All right. So, your services include mold testing, bacteria testing, all this good stuff. But again, the normal average person doesn't even know you exist, right?
Well, if they're semi-informed, they know they go look for.
And where would they go look for you? Just look you up online?
Well, there's an organization that we belong to where we're certified. It's called ACAC. I always forget the acronym.
Okay.
But look that up, George. ACAC. American Certification, something or other. I could get back to you on that.
Okay. And basically that's who you're certified through. So
And we have to do continuing education credits every couple of years. We need to do 40 hours of continuing education.
Okay. So you're constantly keeping up with the new regulations, new laws, with all this stuff. And
yeah, we go to seminars. There was a function we just went to, concrete. What's it called? Brain dead. What's it called, George?
Oh, the concrete convention.
Yeah, convention. Yeah, getting old.
Well, I was on the other convention for the roofing.
Yeah.
And he was on the other building.
Oh.
It's for the concrete. Because I also work with roofing companies, deck companies.
Yep.
I do a lot of their water testing to identify.
And we recently just worked
Sources
together
of-
on another one up
Yeah,
in Beverly Hills on
yeah.
one for you doing that, right? So what was that kind of? I know it was more of a waterproofing issue. Why
That was the one with the pool.
with the pool down to the movie theater? Yeah, yeah, that job right there.
Oh, that one. That was Beverly Hills. That one. Yeah.
Yeah. So what? How did you originally get called out for that job?
Contractor.
Contractor.
I have, most of my work is by word of mouth.
Mhm.
I haven't advertised in years. Everything I do is referral.
Everything you do pretty much is referral.
Yeah.
Tom, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Someone is asking, when is a good moment to bring a hygienist or a testing company into a fire job?
A fire job. As soon as you can. You want to.
As soon as the better.
Well, the sooner the better, because you want to, before anybody touches anything, you need to know what kind of soot, char,
That kind of stuff, yeah.
yeah, what kind
Yeah,
of
he's asking,
burn
and
material.
what are you looking for when you go in there
Uh,
for the fire? Like the way you're talking
Yeah,
about the suit, the
we-
type of, like combustion material?
combustion materials. We're looking for where the not where the fire started, but what has been impacted by the smoke and the
And
fire.
basically, that can help to determine the scope of work,
The,
right?
s-
Like
the scope of
determine
work.
the wall, the smoke getting behind the walls and is related to the smoke damage,
Right,
the fire.
and that also gives us the protocol on what needs to
And
be
they can-
removed.
Back out the insurance company.
Yeah, the insurance companies don't like that. We even, I've worked for a client up in Pacific Palisades. His whole home was engulfed in smoke, and didn't burn, but it was engulfed. All the soot and all the fire went up into his attic, into his walls, into the whole home was impacted with the soot and combustion byproducts. And he's fighting with the insurance company for 2 years now.
Wow.
They gave him some money, but not enough. What needs to happen in that house needs to be completely stripped down to the studs and start fresh.
Yeah.
All the appliances are contaminated. Everything: TVs, refrigerators, washer dryers, heaters, HVAC units, everything.
And what are your recommendations when something like that happens?
My
Like how you
rec-
just said appliances were damaged and everything like that. Are they cleanable? Do you
No,
just recommend to get rid of them at that point?
the combustion byproducts corrupts the circuit boards,
Got it.
and they're useless. They can create a fire down the road. If they're used again, you can't get in a TV and clean all those
Also,
components.
yeah, that'd be possible. So all this, what you're saying right now, you would put together in a report, and somebody would submit that to their insurance company to try to get reimbursed for the stuff.
Yeah,
Correct?
they would get that. Well, you'd also have to have estimates. I only put a recommendation in.
Okay.
I don't,
You don't put a value on anything.
put a value on anything.
You just say, "Hey, this is what I recommend."
Yeah, like the contract that I worked with up there recommended me to do the scope of work, and then he had, and I told the client that he had to go out and get a bid from the HVAC guy, from the appliance guy, from the drywall guy, from the everything had to be remediated. So he had to get an estimate for everything.
Okay.
And then the insurance company says, no, we're not paying that.
Right. Sounds right.
Someone asking is, what's basically the base to determine, if there is mold or no on the air sample? When you take the air sample, I think you already explained that, right? About
Yeah,
the interior and the exterior, but yes,
The exterior samples that we take, we compare those to the interior. So if, say, you have outside aspergillus penicillium at 200 count, and then the inside came out at 1400, that means you have a potential problem. Then you need to identify it. If you're just taking samples, it's hard to determine unless you do a full evaluation of the property to identify the actual source.
So someone is asking, how about if the testing company just went there and take a swab, and they don't do any air samples, and basically
Well,
homeowner is claiming the house is contaminated because the swab come out with with aspergillus or penicillium.
Well, I leave it up to the if I do an inspection,
Yeah.
I write a sampling protocol. So I recommend the outside samples as always. I recommend the area in which we did it, and if there's some other area, I recommend that as well. If I see something visible, I swab it. Okay, but I leave that up to the homeowner to decide whether he wants to go forward or not.
Probably this question is something related, like the job from last week. Remember, the other company took a swab on the register.
Yeah,
It was just like a kind of dust accumulation.
yeah,
And rather the house didn't have any mold issues. It's just
yeah,
the dust accumulating to the register. They take a swab and come up positive with aspergillus.
yeah. So you have people on a return air. You have all this airborne contaminant through your house. You turn on your HVAC, it collects on the return grill and filter, and there potentially you have some growth over a period of time. That's why we supposedly change our filters every 3 months and recommend date it so you don't forget it.
But is the mold grow on the filter or just grow whatever is stuck into the filter?
It impacts on the
Within the
filter
dust.
and it just sits on the filter. And if you swab that, built up dust over a period of time, it would have probably some mold growth on it. But taking just a swab sample is good just to find out what's actually the growth is on the substrate you're testing. But like I said, if the client declines air sampling, I can't force them to do it. I could get out the gun, but no.
So, one more question. Sorry.
Stories.
Is the true mold in the air? It is true there is mold on the air we breathe.
Of course, everywhere. It's probably worse outside than in your home that's being filtered.
Really? Is that true?
Yeah. You see the samples. What are some of the outside samples? Sometimes they're real high. That depends again. The gardener blowing, you have soil that's got mold in it, you have decaying leaves, that's all breaking down, what's it called? I'll remember in a minute.
We have a lot of audience, just getting into the industry, and someone else is asking like, how long does it take to mold start growing on the structure after the water damage?
Usually 24 to 48 hours.
24 to 48 hours.
Hours, yeah.
To have initial growth.
Initial growth.
Yeah. When we talk about initial growth, what type of mold?
Aspergillus, penicillium, yeah, light green surface.
Light green surface. That's why we see sometimes like white and green.
Yeah.
On the surface.
And then you probably have cladosporium because that's a wet mold, depending what your substrate is. It depends whether it grows fast or it grows slow. Drywall, you could grow real quick. Because what? Drywall is a sponge.
Okay.
They make it with water, they dry it, put it back out to you.
I wanted to ask you one thing, Tom. We run into this scenario a lot in bathrooms that are poorly ventilated. We run into, and let me step back a little bit. Mold has to grow on organic materials. Am I correct?
That's correct.
So why does mold grow? Why does it seem like mold grows on metal in bathrooms? And what I mean by that is a lot of times we go into jobs and the customer says they call us in for mold, and all of a sudden there's black spots, black dots all alongside the shower door frame, maybe on a porcelain tub. Why do we see that?
You probably see that because a lot of times people don't really clean it, or if it's got caulking in it, the caulking gets moisture behind it and turns black.
Okay. So if you were to go into a bathroom and you see, a lot of times we get called out, people are all freaked out because they see mold going on, like I said, a porcelain bathtub, metal shower door frame. When you see that, What do you usually recommend in a scenario like that?
Clean it.
Just clean it instead of ripping everything out?
Yeah, well, you have to, I would test the tile, see if there is a source of water intrusion.
Mhm.
A lot of times the water intrusion is coming from behind the wall because when you take a shower, your escutcheon plate or your trim plate on the
Uh-huh.
control valve is not secure to the wall. And then water gets behind the wall, runs down to the wall, sits in behind your caulking on your tub or
Mhm.
your shower pan, and it stays wet continuously. So if we went and did an investigation there, we would test the walls from starting from the bottom up and see how far the water has been wicking up
Okay.
for a period of time.
Okay. And getting back to, I guess, what I was meaning, just going on some of the materials that it would normally not grow on. Um, a lot of that is usually due to, like you said, people not necessarily cleaning it up
Yeah, it's sometimes
constantly.
there's dust on the windowsills.
Yep.
I just recently did one where uh, the windows hadn't been cleaned in years,
Yeah.
and
It's another area we see a lot around the window
yeah,
seals.
around the windows, and it was because they never cleaned the windows. It was a rental property, and apparently somebody, they cleaned the inside, but never cleaned behind the shutters
Got it.
and in the tracks, and it was just a dirt buildup, and with the moisture in the air, it just
Mhm.
has a growth source.
Okay. So getting back to that kind of, how important is it to have proper ventilation within your home or within bathrooms? Because it
Well,
seems like if you don't have proper ventilation and they don't clean enough, it's just going to be a constant issue with that.
yeah, sometimes you get spots on the ceiling
Yeah, I see that a lot as
with,
well.
because of poor ventilation. It's a window, in today's industry standard, any bathroom needs a
Yeah.
fan, and if not a fan, a window. And you need to utilize the window by opening it.
Yeah, it's usually what I tell people, especially, working in kind of, I know a lot of your jobs are up and down the coast a lot. So kind of the air quality has a lot more humidity probably rather than where I'm from, the inland,
Oh,
so
you got to die up there.
yeah, right. So just different atmospheres, I guess. But yeah, so like I would always tell people as well, proper ventilation, especially in those bathrooms you said that don't have
Yeah.
windows. Make sure they have a fan installed. A lot of times they just kind of have an oscillating fan that just kind of spins, not actually an
Yeah,
exhaust fan.
Well, sometimes they go nowhere too.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
put the fan in, it's got nowhere to go
exactly.
because it's not ducted properly out to the outside.
And when that happens, and when you see stuff like that, do you just give recommendations to clean up the mold, or would you actually put in your report as well, say, hey, this fan isn't doing much. It's just literally spinning the air around in the room, not actually ventilating it out. Do you give recommendations to install an exhaust fan?
Remove and replace.
Remove and replace?
Yeah, with
Okay.
something that works.
Okay.
And also, you need to check your ductwork to see if it's going somewhere. If your ductwork is disconnected, say in the attic, in the wall, or where it's supposed to go. I mean, a lot of times people put the fan in and it just blows up into the attic.
Yeah.
It needs to be ducted to the outside.
Got it. Do you, and this is one thing as well, too. I wanted to ask, people are always worried about their inside of their home, but you kind of just mentioned the attic. Sometimes, in South Orange County, not very many people have crawl spaces. Everybody has an attic. In attics and crawl spaces, do you do much testing in those areas?
On occasion, it depends. If we've had a leak in the attic, from a roof leak, we would do some testing.
Okay.
I just recently did one where they didn't know they had a leak until he was doing some work. He punched a hole in the wall and found the nice wad of mold.
Oh, wow.
So now he's got to, identify the roof leak and change the roof and then remediate the mold.
Okay. And as a remediator, this is one thing I've kind of ran into in the past where you might be working in a crawl space, there's mold in a crawl space. Insurance companies will actually, if it's related to the loss, they'll actually pay for the most times to have it remediated, but they normally don't like to have it tested afterwards. They won't usually pay to have it tested. Why is that? Do you normally do mold testing in crawl spaces?
Yes, they do.
You do.
Yeah. And
So
do
why?
we
So
do
why
some
would insurance
sometimes?
companies kind of be a little bit on the fence to have that tested?
No comment.
Is it because they think it's just not necessarily a living, like a
It's not a living space.
not a living space?
Not in living space, but the non-living space is underneath the living
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
So it would make sense.
Yep.
Sometimes they use like storage too, right?
Yeah.
They store stuff like
Yeah.
stuff
People.
get contaminated.
Yeah, I've heard adjusters tell me, well, there's soil in there. You're always going to find something. There's no point of us testing in there.
Well, these also could go a step further and put a clean space in there where they cover the soil with a plastic membrane, and then it's just as good as your house.
Got it. Okay. So getting back as far as your mediator standpoint, to kind of combat that with the insurance company, we could say, hey, no, there was mold in here. We do got to get it tested. Like you said, we're going to cover the soil with plastic 100%. We're going to contain the areas, which is all stuff we can bill for if it's covered claim, right? And then have it tested that way. And there's nothing they can say, hey, there's nothing that should mess up your report.
They always can say.
Yeah, they're always trying to say something.
They always say no.
Tom, I have a question on the attic. The attic we see this post 2x4s, right? And
yeah.
Sometimes we see a lot of like we call lumber mold.
Right? Yeah, it comes with the lumber.
These people want to know what you do with the lumber mold, because obviously it's not like for all the structure, right? Related to
they can remove all the lumber.
It's a
no, I'm just kidding.
Maybe the builder, right? Bring them.
Yeah, they could.
They will ready.
It would be.
Lumber mold. Does that have to be treated? Have to be removed?
I would treat it. You could leave it there. It's not. If it's lumberyard mold, it's not going to hurt you. Just on the lumber. It's in the attic. What's it going to bother? But if someone wants to clean it, it's up to them.
Make some extra money.
Make extra money.
Tom, one thing I want
we love to test lumberyard mold.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Tom, is kind of the process of what I see a lot of restoration companies do when they do mold remediations. They love using encapsulant.
Oh no!
What's your thoughts on encapsulant?
God.
What's your thoughts on encapsulation?
No encapsulation. You can encapsulate anything you want after I do my final post verification.
And what would you do if you walked into a mold containment and the company just had everything encapsulated?
Tell them about your last job when that big corporation company encapsulated everything.
Yeah.
You got a big fight with it.
And we had to remove it, sand it all off.
Yeah, because encapsulating is not meant to come off after it's there.
No. And that was the job up in Encino, I think it was, where they wanted to encapsulate it on the ceiling, then they didn't want it, and they wanted a contractor to sand it off, and it's a tough job to get that stuff off.
Yeah, you almost got to grind it off.
Yeah, and then you compromise if you grind too much, you compromise
the integrity of the lumber. Yeah, yeah. So I always looked at encapsulant almost as like a a cheat code. So
what's my report say?
To clean it.
No encapsulant.
Oh, no encapsulant. Yes, it does state that. Yes, even when it's kind of funny too, because even when you get trained, when you get sent to the AMRT course, they don't have you use encapsulant. It's not only is it out of a book, but it's also a hands-on course, and they don't have you use encapsulant.
Clean it.
Yeah,
that's all you have to do is clean.
And I always see these companies; they always use encapsulant
because they don't want to do their job.
If it's the clear, what is the IAQ, or if it's
IAQ 6000,
yeah, or if it's just literally kills that they get a white spray can and just go to town on all the studs, right? Yeah. I usually always see that happen, and it's just not the proper way to get it done. Is from what I was taught.
Because they're not cleaning their covering, and they think I don't see.
So, and on the other hand of that, what they might say is, how can we clean? Sometimes there might be mold on framing and you just physically can't get in between the framing to clean it. What do you do at that point?
You get some spray foam.
You get some spray foam.
Or you use the hydrogen peroxide and spray it in there.
Okay.
And that bubbles it out.
And
then you do your proper cleaning through that.
Okay.
And then you could, put the spray foam in the crevices.
Okay. Yeah. Spray foam is usually kind of what I always would try to do rather than encapsulating stuff. But yeah, so
because you're not encapsulating, you're just sealing the joint.
Sealing the cracks.
You're not covering my lumber.
Yeah, got it. So at no point in any mold remediation should you be using encapsulant.
Absolutely not.
Got it. Understood. It's a big thing that I see out in this industry. People just love using encapsulant, seal everything, and then call for their test. And there's
call for a test. I had one of those where they were supposed to. I inspected the job twice and told them exactly what to do. I put tape on it so they could identify how far they needed to go, and they didn't. And they encapsulated right up to it. So I take the swab, still stocky botches in the ceiling. Yeah. And that you just can't do it.
So when you see encapsulant on a job, is it normally you just would fail them right away, or
no? It's a red light. I would do inspection. I would find a spot where they don't always seal just good enough.
Okay. So you'd find something. You'd find something to make them not pass, huh? All right. Well, I think we talked about a lot of the molds, bacteria, and stuff. Touching on the fires and stuff again. Fires is kind of similar to like the mold. You want to do a maybe pre and post test as well too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I'd say fires is probably, and from what I see, is probably the least usually tested for. Am I right in saying that or no?
Yeah, I test. I always pre-test. If I have a fire job, I pre-test. It helps out with documenting the conditions of the property, not just the insurance guy coming by and saying there's nothing wrong here. I don't see it.
Now I will say this on a fire job versus the mold. On the mold, like we were just talking about, we don't want to encapsulate at all. But on the fire jobs, typically on fire remediation, you do shellac.
Yeah, you cover after you clean.
After we clean, so you would want to go in there and test before we apply the shellac.
Absolutely.
Okay, just clear that up.
Same thing. No encapsulation
before
post verification.
Got it. Understood. All right, Tom. Question for you: what's the nastiest stuff you've ever seen in your field? I know you must have seen some stuff in your 20-something years working in this industry.
Well, there was one project we went into where the whole room was covered in mold. The whole unit, actually. There was a water heater leak, and it went on it was a vacant building, and it went on for a period of time that every wall, I walked in, walked out, went to the car, put my respirator on, and suited up. That's how.
Just to do the test, huh?
Just to do the test.
Wow, that's got to be pretty bad if you had to do all that.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Were you on that one?
All right, Tom. If people, again, suspect there's mold in their home and, watching this, they want to get a little bit more information or they want to reach out to you, how can they find you? Do you have a website, phone number? What could they do to find you to have you come out, maybe do some testing in their home if they suspect there might be something going on?
I have a website that I hardly use, but I do. It's afoxenvironmental.com.
afoxenvironmental.com?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, is there...
What should know?
No, go for it. What are you...
Just ask me the phone number.
Oh, yeah, what's
the...
9
County in Los Angeles can't find out.
Yeah, Riverside County. Do you work in Riverside County as well? Or I know you work in Orange County and LA County a lot.
We work everywhere.
You work everywhere.
San Diego County, to the desert, we're way out into above LA.
Ventura?
Yeah.
Santa Barbara area and stuff?
Everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anybody's in that area and they suspect they might have some mold and they need some help, they could always reach out to you, right?
Yeah. And my number is 949-933-5190.
And everybody, his name is Tom from AFOX Environmental. Worked with this guy for a while now. George's been working with him for some years. I'll vouch for him. He's a great guy. Does a good enough job for us. So if you ever need any help, always reach out to Tom.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching.
That's it, Tom.
You good?
Thank you.